How many of you are Friends fans? I mean, what a dumb show, right? I mean, one of my favorites. Still watch them on reruns. We got them recorded on the when there's nothing else on, and you just need to watch some brainless. I mean, isn't it a great show, right? Like, what makes it such a great show? Think about that. I mean, it's just almost addicted. It's like crack cocaine. Once you start watching it, you can't stop. And you know that these people are going to do stupid things and waste 30 minutes of your life doing stupid things while you watch them. And what is it about that? You know, what is it about that show, Friends? You know, well, today we're going to talk about Friends. It's a great adventure that we're on together. And we're talking about the adventures that God takes us on. And one of the things that you discover along life's path is the friends that you run into, right? The people that you meet along the way that make a difference in your life. You know, sometimes we have casual acquaintances. Sometimes we have, deep friendships. Sometimes you pass friends and you make friends and you don't see each other for years. And then all of a sudden, you see each other and it's just like you've never been apart. I ran into a buddy of mine at my studies at Asbury last year. We literally hadn't seen each other, emailed every now and then, but hadn't seen each other for almost 10 years. And it was like we had never missed each other. I mean, we picked up in mid-sentence almost. I mean, you have friends like that where you hadn't seen in years. I think God sends those people into our lives because we need friends. We need to have close friends, which reminds me, by the way, of a story about T-Boy and the three-legged pig. Have y'all heard this one? Well, you see, Alphonse come over to T-Boy's house one day, and he sees this three-legged pig running around the yard. He said, T-Boy, he said, tell me about that pig there, Sha. He says, oh, man. He goes, that pig, that's my best friend, that pig. He goes, well, why is he your best friend? He said, well, let me tell you. He says, I was out in the marsh hunting. He goes, I fell out my P-roll. And he said, that pig swam to shore, went and got Marie, and come got a rope and drug me in and saved my life. He said, that pig is mine. And he said, and the other thing is, he said, one time we was asleep, and he said, the house caught fire. Marie left a pot on the stove, and it caught fire. The pig come and oinked us awake. Oinked at the door until we were big, loud, save our life again. He said, well, all that's fine. He says, but that don't explain them 3 legs. He said, well, he's my best friend. You don't expect me to eat him all at once, huh? Why is it that some of the most endearing TV shows and popular songs are about people having friends and living their lives together? You ever thought about that? I mean, think about all the popular shows. Everybody has, and some of them have a friend, right? We might call them sidekicks, but it's their friend that they go through thick and thin with. Like, all right, I'm gonna share something with you. I'm gonna say the main character, and you say the sidekick. Okay, ready? The Lone Ranger and Fred Flintstone and there you go, Sherlock Holmes and nobody knows that? Really? Captain Kirk and Mr. Spock. Okay, I'm going to help you. All right. Shrek and Frodo and Samwise Gamgee. Come on, no Lord of the Rings fans? What? Batman and Pinky and the Brain. I love it. I was wondering if anybody would get that one. Pinky and the Brain. I love that one. Dr. Evil and Mini-Me, right, from the Austin Powers, right? Okay, for all of you more chronologically experienced folks, Ralph Cramden and Ed Norton. You got Norton, right? All right, for those of us my age, Tubbs and Crockett from Miami Vice. Tubbs and Crockett, come on. Calvin and Seinfeld and George Costanza, right? It's got to be Laverne and everybody knows Laverne and Shirley, and of course. Okay, so what about friendship songs? Anybody know any friendship songs that we just had? How about "Thank You for Being a Friend"? Theme from the Golden Girls. "You've Got a Friend," James Taylor, Carole King. The theme from Ben, from Michael Jackson, right? Theme from Cheers. Everybody wants to go to a place where everybody what? Knows your name. That's a friend song. Okay. With a little help from our friends, the Beatles. Put a little. I'm just naming them. Put Your Records On by Corinne Bailey and Lean on Me, right? I mean, all of these things have what in common? Friends. And we resonate with them. And they're some of our favorite songs. When they come on the radio, we automatically start singing them. And every generation has their friendship songs. They have their friendship TV shows. They have shows in which there's a cadre of friends going through life together, right? And they're experiencing life, and it's important. It means something to us. I think it's because we're wired that way, all right? Just recently, and last summer, they had one of the greatest friendship movies ever to be filmed, Toy Story 3. Wasn't that a friendship movie? I mean, what was that about? That was endearing friendship, right? It was about the toys and Andy going through life together. In 1995, Toy Story came out, Toy Story 2 in 1999, 2010. An entire generation has grown up with this friendship-themed classical movie. I mean, it's going to go down as a classic. Okay, what about this? What about the evolution of Facebook? How did Facebook start? It started by some oddball computer geek wanting to be more popular and have more friends. He wanted friends. That's what it started out, and they named it something different. It wasn't the Facebook at first. It was Friends and Faces or something like that. I forget the name. If you haven't watched the movie, by the way, it's Social Network. Pretty good flick. Gives you an insight into what the guy was trying to accomplish. But overall, he wanted to be friends. But let's face it, guys, all of that can be very artificial. And none of it, listen, none of it takes the place of friends, does it? You can watch all the TV shows you want. You can sing all the songs you want. You know, you can do all the Facebooking you want. But there's something about having that flesh-to-flesh, face-to-face contact with what? A friend. See, I think God gives us people to be our friends. I think that's part of the reason that the church is the church, so that we can be friends for one another. Benjamin Blech, a Jewish rabbi, writes about forgetting the true meaning of friendship. He says, I see the number of friends people have on Facebook, and I'm embarrassed. I'm not comparing myself to the celebrities who seem to have millions in their intimate circle. I'm talking about average folk just like me who have piled up friends in the 5 figures and seem to be continually expanding their close-knit relationships. He says, what's wrong with me? I don't have nearly that number of friends. The number of people I consider true friends doesn't go much over double digits. This in spite of the fact that I'm a pretty public figure with a large number of acquaintances. He said it bothered me a lot until I figured something out. It isn't that I have fewer friends than other people. It's just that I refuse to allow the word friend to be cheapened by verbal inflation. I won't let a description that ought to be reserved for the closest and most meaningful kind of friendship to be squandered on fleeting associations with individuals who haven't the slightest idea or concern about my joys or my sorrows. Do you get that feeling from Facebook? You know, I mean, I love it. I get on Facebook. I do all that stuff. But, you know, there's just not something real about it. He quotes Joseph Zabara, a Hebrew prophet and physician, put it this way. Friendship is one heart in 2 bodies. Don't you love that? Friendship is one heart in 2 bodies. Let us not cheapen our relationship with friends to become just a collection of faces on Facebook. Gosh, if you think about it, the Bible is filled with examples of people befriending one another, isn't it? A couple of weeks ago, Reverend Kathy shared with you the story about Ruth and Naomi. Do you remember that? Naomi lost her whole family except for her 2 foreign-born daughters. And Ruth was the loyal one. She befriended Naomi. She traveled with her. She said, you are flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. We are one, she says. Wow, one heart, perhaps, in 2 bodies. Other biblical friendship stories, Elijah and Elisha, King David and Jonathan, Jesus and everybody, right? What a friend we have in Jesus. I mean, come on. Paul and Barnabas, which is who we're going to talk about today for a little while. We're going to talk about the Apostle Paul, who was Saul before he was Paul. And he wasn't always the good guy of the church. He wasn't always the chief evangelist of the church. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how God sent certain people at certain places in certain times immediately following Saul's conversion that befriended him, that were there for him.